Hello everyone and welcome to the channel. I'm Emmanuel, I'm an airline pilot, and in this video I want to tidy up with a flight sim myth that has been spread for decades, including mention in a lot of developers' tutorials and official developers' documentation. The point we are going to talk about is how to handle a route in your FMC and handling route discontinuities and open-ended routes. Now, what do I mean with that? Let's have a look into the arrival that I'm planning at the moment. We're currently planning a flight from Edinburgh to Copenhagen Airport, and as you can see, looking at the plan mode on the navigation display, the route is open-ended. It just goes in infinity. Now you can see that rather nicely over here. However, when you're flying something like this, you would obviously not continue into infinity, but receive radar vectors from air traffic control. Let's have a look at the corresponding chart that we've got right up here. And at that point, by the way, thank you very much to Navigraph for sponsoring my Navigraph chart package. Charts are a very handy tool in a situation like this because they show you what the procedure designer had in mind. Now, the arrival we've programmed right here is a perfect example of that. You can see we're coming in from up here via Trano VOR, and then we're flying this downwind through the ANAV routing. And as you can see, that is perfectly depicted in the flight management system. However, a lot of developers are teaching you in their tutorials to close any such gaps in the route. And that totally doesn't make sense, okay? So, the vector lag in here is there for a very good reason. It is there because the procedure designer wants you to continue on the downwind heading, and then you're going to receive radar vectors from air traffic control towards the final. Now what happens is that a lot of flight simmers will simply remove the vector lag and create something like this, okay? And if you do this, the airplane would turn after airpook onto the final. Now, while that can be done in offline flying, never ever do that when you're flying online, because as you can see, ATC will expect you to continue on that downwind track over here. The same sort of mishabit happens when you are programming some sort of a route and there is a discontinuity somewhere in there. Now, it doesn't really matter where that discontinuity comes from. The thing that does matter is that it is there for a reason. So, many flight sim developers, as well as a lot of people in the flight sim community, are going to tell you just clear that discontinuity. Well, I'm telling you, take a moment to think about where the discontinuity comes from, why it is there, and therefore what you need to do about it. Now, there are discontinuities which can appear because the airplane is not capable of following the SID, but there might also be discontinuities for a reason. So let's have a look. I did not enter a SID yet on this particular flight. Now, as you can see on the chart, we've got the Grise 4 Delta departure over here. But what would happen, for example, if you were to enter some sort of a totally different departure? Let's say, for example, you entered the Tala 4 Delta departure. Well, if you do not simply clear the discontinuity, but take a moment to think about why you've got one in first place, then you might notice that you've entered an incorrect SID. If you, however, simply do this and get rid of your discontinuity, you are not going to notice unless you really take a close look at your navigation display and got an idea of what you're expecting. However, many flight simmers don't do that. Now, the results of this are obviously going to be that you are going to fly an incorrect route and air traffic control is going to be rather unhappy with that. So instead, if you just entered the correct SID, then you will see no discontinuity is going to come up even in first place, so that you can see straight away the routing is working and it does make sense. There is one more possibility as to when the airplane might draw you a route discontinuity, and that is if it is unable to follow the route as you've inserted it, most likely due to speed that is just not compatible with the airplane's flight path. So, what do I mean with that? Well, let's take it quite easy. If we zoom in a little bit, then you'll see that after the 058 point over here, we've got a rather tight turn. Now, imagine if you wanted to fly this turn at normal speeds like 220 knots, then you could perfectly follow the line that the airplane is drawing for you. However, now imagine if you wanted to fly this at 300 knots. The airplane would no longer be able to take a turn radius as tight as this one, as the bank angle increases with increasing airspeed, or the bank angle required increases with increasing airspeed, And now the result would be that your airplane is going to overshoot the route, and the FMC is going to recognize that it cannot fly this, and therefore it is going to simply cut the route at that point and insert a route discontinuity that is going to alert you as pilot that the airplane is not going to be able to fly over this point the way you demanded it to. Now, simply clearing that discontinuity is not going to solve your problem. The way to solve that problem is by inserting a speed restriction and therefore making the airplane fly that thing a little bit slower so that it can actually take the turn radius that is demanded. Alright, so do your VATSIM pilots and VATSIM controllers a little favor and do take good care of your route in the FMC. The last thing you want is to clear a discontinuity where none is meant to be, but also to clear a discontinuity where it is meant to be, like at the end of the route over here. So on this one, certainly want to continue on the downwind heading, and unfortunately, as a VATSIM controller, and I've even gotten emails from other VATSIM controllers asking me if I could do a video on the topic, because it still is a rather large problem on the network. Do your VATSIM controller the favor and fly what is charted, and not just fly what some individual, maybe even some developer has told you in a tutorial, which could easily be to falsify your route in the flight management system, as you can see in the example over here. Now, if something like this happened to you and you had already changed this, then you can always just bring the vector leg back. You can't program them manually, but what you can do is just select some totally different arrival for a moment and then go back and reselect the star as you need it, like so, and all of a sudden you are going to be back in business. Alright, that's going to be it for this video. Thank you very much for watching, everyone. I do hope that you have enjoyed this one. And finally, a message to the VATSIM controller who messaged me about a week ago if I could do a video on this. I did try to reply to your email, but you've got a filter active that prevents me from doing that. I only get a message not deliverable back when I'm trying to answer you. So, thank you very much for your attention, thank you very much for watching, everyone. I do hope you enjoyed this. If you did, do let me know in the comments below, and finally, do take good care of the route in your flight management computers. In the meantime, enjoy your weekend, enjoy your virtual flight, and I see you all again on the next one, with a fresh topic for not only VATSIM pilots, but everyone in the flight simulation scene. In the meantime, leave a like if you did like the video, comment to let me know what you think about it, and subscribe if you're up for more. And if you really, and I mean really love my videos, I would appreciate a small donation through the Buy Me Coffee link in the video description below. In the meantime, thank you very much for watching, everyone. Have a very good morning, afternoon, evening, whatever it is when you're currently watching this. And I see you all again on the next one.